Hello everyone and welcome back to Stay Tonight. In the last few videos I've talked interchangeably between React Router DOM and basic React application, the advanced concept. So in the last video specifically I covered about context API, how you can create a context, how a root component of an application in your ReactJS application can create a context and provide the context to the children components so that state can be properly managed and state can be transferred to the children components. And in the last video specifically I was using routing as well to show you how you can have multiple routes and each route will have multiple components, and how in a proper sort of real like application we can have multiple components associated with each other in a hierarchy, and where we want to pass state variables, and how we can do that using application context, how you can create context, how you can use context hook, etc. So we have covered all these things. Now if you go back to the video 21, the episode 21, in that I talked about a couple of new features that were introduced in React Router DOM version 6.4. So I talked about how you can have a separate router.js file where you can create all the routes, where you can define all the routes in an object style, and then how you can use a router provider in your main application route file to simply very cleanly provide the routing mechanism, and then have a separate root component in which you can have an outlet component where the children components are loaded based on the route changes. So we have done all that right in the video 21 and the episode 22. So please go back and check those episodes before starting this one, because in this one what I will be doing is I will be using the latest style of React Router DOM, which is the object style and the decoupled mechanism, where you have a router JS file separately in which routes are defined, and you have all that setup of outlet and router provider, and in that how you can use context to supply the state or manage the state when you have multiple children components. So React Router DOM provides us with a special hook, which is the useOutletContext, and which makes things super easy. You don't have to do much. If you're familiar with the object style, decoupled style, where you have a separate router file, router provider, you are using outlet, you have a root component, etc. If you're using that architecture in your ReactJS application, which I highly recommend that you should, then you should know about the useOutletContext hook as well, so that you can also manage state properly. So let's start with that. So if I have to give you a brief introduction of what we have over here in terms of design. So as you can see, I've already opened up the files that I'm using, right? So what we have is this router.js has all the routing defined. I'll open these files and show what we have inside of these. Then in the routing we have special routes for profile, not for edit profile, for home, for products. So we have been using this only ecom type layout since the last couple of videos. Then we have a root.js, which is sort of acting as the root component, which has the navigation bar and all the fixed style that we have. The basic structure, the basic skeleton of the design of the application is stored in the root.js, and in there we have an outlet component, sorry for the spelling, in which either profile is loaded or products component is loaded or home is loaded based upon the root, whatever root we have, the slash products, etc., slash profile, and so on. So in a particular section where we are defining the outlet, these are getting loaded. This is fixed, the navigation bar, etc., is fixed. So if I have to show you how the UI looks, okay, it is not appearing right now, so I have some errors. I'll fix this, don't worry. So if I have to show you the files quickly, as you can see, I have a router.js, app.js is fine. Then inside the pages I have edit profile, home, products, profile, root. If you have not seen the last video, please go back, check. What I will be doing over here is again I will have a root component which will have some state like, let's say, username. And then we have, so from the previous videos what we created was using parameters, etc. We have products component in which different categories are loaded. So that's let's keep that aside, let's not include that in this one. So in this root we have an outlet component where when slash profile URL is visited, we load the profile component. In the profile component we show that, okay, hi, welcome username, whatever username we are having in the state variable over here in the root. So we have to pass this username to profile so that we can use it in the profile section. And in the profile we are loading another component which is edit profile, which is being used to update the username. So we also have to provide the set username method to update the state variable to profile and then to edit profile. So that would be, if you are doing it using props, you will first have to send the props from root to profile, and then profile to edit profile, and then in edit profile you have to use it, which is not the right way, and that is what we talked about in the last video as well. We will not waste time in this video. Please go back, check the last video to understand what is prop drilling, how having context can deal with it, and in this particular video we will just talk about a different implementation of context with React Router DOM. Okay, so if I have to show you how the root looks, root.js looks like this. We have a fixed part, which is the navigation part, and we have some links, and then we have the outlet. Oops, I should not be having this. I was trying a few things. Let me cut this part. So if I have to show you the root.js, this is how the root.js looks like. It is having a fixed part, which is the navigation bar, and then some links to click on them and show different product categories, and then the outlet where all the different components are loaded based upon the routes. In the router.js, we have this. We have defined basic routing, children, path, home path, and then products path, and we will be adding another path over here, which will be for profile. I think I added it, but maybe I removed it for something. Profile, okay, and I've already imported profile, so that's fine. So this is another URL that we want to add, profile. In profile.js, we have a simple UI where we want to showcase hello, welcome, username, whatever the username is, and then we want to have a button. On click of the button, we want to show the edit profile component. So we have associated an on-click event handler with toggle edit profile flag over here. I've covered everything that I'm showing you guys in this video in the last video. So please, if you want to see how I created all this, why I created this flag, and how I am showing the edit profile component, etc., please go back, check the last video, and you will understand. So I've created this complete setup in the last video. In edit profile, I want to have a simple form where we want to have an input field and a button, just to sort of allow the user to update their username. Okay. So now in this video, what we want to do is, in the root.js, we want to have a state variable, which is username, and we will have a method, setter method for it, and we'll use the useState hook, and let's provide the username as Abhishek. So I have a username state variable set as Abhishek, and let me just display this over here. Username, let's see if the UI has loaded. Yeah, so this is how the UI looks like. Okay, I don't know what the problem was initially because I haven't done much, but it's fine. So what I've done over here is I've simply created a state variable username, which I want to pass on to profile, then edit profile, because in edit profile we want to edit it. Okay, and we will do this using context, and that too in React Router DOM. So I'm showing this username over here. This is how the things are working for now. If I click on Abhishek, I get to this profile page. This profile component is loaded. When I click on edit profile, the edit profile component is loaded. So the basic setup is working fine. Now, first thing is that I want to showcase the username on the profile page. So for that, I have to send this information to this. And then in case of edit profile, because I want to update a state variable, I have to use the setter function for that. So I have to supply the set username function to edit profile as well. Now we won't be going with props drilling. I won't be sending all these information as properties. Rather than we will be using the useOutletContext. So how do we use it? It's super easy. So in this outlet component, I can simply provide over here context, and in that I can supply in whatever I want to supply. So you can have a single value over here, like just pass in username. So this username will be passed. You can have an array of values. You can have like this username comma set username. This will work fine. You will supply an array with 2 values in it. I prefer the object style, so you can do this also. You can create an object. In the object, you can have username and set username method. So one state variable and another setter function we are adding to the context for the outlet. How do we use this? Now we know that in this outlet component, the child components are loaded based on the routes, right? So when we supply a context to this outlet, this context can be accessed in each of the child components. So let's go to the profile one. Now over here, what I can do is I will have to first import useOutletContext, and then all I have to do is const context is equal to useOutletContext, and that's it. So let's quickly log it and see the context. Okay, so we are getting it over here. As you can see, we have the username Abhishek, and yeah, we have the set username also set. So that's good. We have everything in place. So now what we will do is we are getting the values in the context using the useOutletContext hook, and all we have to do is access the values. So what I'll do over here is curly brackets context.username, and we will get the username over here. The next thing that we want to do is use the same way in the edit profile as well, so that we can access the functions to update our state variable in the edit profile. So let me copy this, take this to edit profile, then copy this, take this to edit profile, and over here let's just uncomment this, and everything would be working just like it is supposed to, and it was working in the last video as well. So if I do Abhi7007 update, this got updated very well, and this is the changes are reflected application wide. If I go to home, still working. If I change it again, the state variable got updated and the changes are reflected across the application. So that's how you can deal with context if you're using React Router DOM, especially the latest version. So in there, this setup works like a charm. You have a separate router.js file, so all the routing is available in here in object style, where we have parent and child relationships. We have a root component separate, in which the basic structure of the application is laid out, and the outlet component is used to showcase the children component based on the routing changes. In the main app.js, we have nothing, just the router providers. So this is acting like a wrapper component, which is just pitching in the routing mechanism. That's it. So it all starts from root.js. In the root, what we have done is, in the outlet component, we have used the context property to define the context, and that's it. Then in the child components, all you have to do is use the useOutletContext hook and get access to the context. So React Router DOM has included this as part of the default offering because this is a very useful feature. And like I said in the last video, I covered the basic default implementation using the create context and use context hook that is available in ReactJS. But if you're using React Router DOM, you can also use this style. So that's about it for this video. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And I hope I'm able to explain you different implementation of context without React Router DOM. Also, you can use it if you're using older version of React Router DOM, where you are using browser router routes and route. You can go with the default implementation of context API using ReactJS, or if you're using the latest version and you want to make your application more scalable, readable and decoupled, then I would recommend go with this style where you have a separate router, everything is separated. In the outlet, you use the useOutletContext. So this is a very good way to handle context if you are using React Router DOM. If you have any confusion, if you have any doubts, please share in the comment section below. If you want me to cover something else, do let me know in the comment section below. If you have not subscribed to the channel, please do subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon. Also, you can follow me on Instagram. I'm available on Instagram. You will find the link in the description. I create funny reels over there as well. So thank you so much for watching this video. See you soon in the next video.